and that most, I mean, some VCs are fine, some are good, but the majority of them are there out to make
Uh-huh.
money. So
of the revenue you make, right? Much like in a startup.
Yes, man, and let's get some of our old soldiers back out.
Musicians to be professional. They know how to talk.
To help them wake up happy. It's
I
not
love
about a
that.
rectangle and a price.
All right, y'all. We tuned in for another episode of Bank That Radio Show. I am your host, Andreas, and I have another interview being brought via Zoom, courtesy of Podmatch. So if anybody out there, if you're a podcaster and you really want to like level up your game, get access to more and different diverse type of individuals, hit me up and I'll send you the link. But we have Eric McHugh, who is experienced. Well, first of all, I love the fact that I think I saw in there. Oh, okay, has an IQ over 140. Love that. But has a very diverse background and has done a lot of different things, especially within the technology sector, a lot of digital things, NFTs, AI, things of that nature. But experience includes ads optimized or for Snap Incorporated, consulting for Fortune 500 through Chapter 11 bankruptcy process. Is that the one where you actually pay back through your employer, like your
no,
paycheck?
it's the other way around. So that's when a company's going through the bankruptcy process, they have to pay a bunch of money to a bunch of people and they have to move
Oh,
around the
that's the
debt.
company one.
Yeah, it's a
Okay,
company one.
I was thinking of 13.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking of. Dark matter research at Carnegie Mellon University. I bet that was very interesting, being able to do that. Helped found, was it Cartrev in which is a social commerce platform that had over 100 Shopify brands using Eric. Is a 30-year-old entrepreneur whose philosophy emphasizes the importance of simplicity, adaptability, and a clear mind, which has translated well into the world of the Web3 entrepreneurship. Eric, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Andreas. I'm really grateful to be here, and thank you for hosting.
You're welcome. I loved your background and, you being in that space, especially as, the world is changing. We're going from hard currency to digital currency and all these innovative things are popping up out of the digital world that, a lot of people, are not liking as far as like change. Because, humans as they get older, just like, what I'm
Yeah,
saying. And then
yeah.
sometimes it might seem like, things might be a little bit too complex for some understanding. But for everyone out there, let them know like what is like Web3 and give us a little background to all of that.
Yeah, sure. And to your point about change, I mean, one of the main laws of the universe is impermanence, meaning we're always in a state of change. So
Hmm.
it's gonna happen whether you like it or not. Your perspective on the change is probably the more important thing. But
Exactly.
in terms of Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, I think I'm pretty qualified to talk about that because of what ShopX is. So
Hmm.
what ShopX is, it's a way for Web 2 brands to enter the Web 3 space in an easy way. So when onboarding a Web 2 brand, more often than not, we're talking to like a older executive who really has no idea what Web 3 is. So here's this nice simplified explanation. In terms of Web 1 versus Web 2 versus Web 3, I like to think of Web 1 as a read only. So in Web 1, you can go online, you can read stuff, it's fantastic.
Hmm.
Web 2, let's frame it as like let's let the frame as Instagram, social media, what we have right now. So that's read and write. So in Web 2, you can read content, you can write content. If we take an Instagram example, I could write my post, you or any of your listeners could read that post, interact with that post, you do you. The only issue is we don't own that content. So in this case, Instagram owns the content. They can sell your data for nefarious purposes, good purposes, whatever they want.
Hmm.
Or more importantly, they can retroactively cancel you because they own the content. Like we could say something as podcast right now, 10 years down the line, who knows what's right based on where we're going. They
Hmm.
can say, okay, these guys, they're both canceled. In Web 3, I would say it's read, it's write, and you can own. So not only can you read content, write content, but you can also own content. The form of that ownership is through an NFT or a non-fungible token.
Hmm.
So let's say hypothetically, I create my own NFT collection. I either gift one to you or you purchase that NFT out of your own free will. there's now a relationship between me and you.
Hmm.
And whatever value I want to add to that NFT, I can. So my area of expertise is e-commerce. So if I'm a brand, I could add certain products to that NFT. But if I'm like an artist, I could add exclusive access to shows and real life events and all that stuff. Once you own that NFT, I can't take it away from you, which is important because it's something Amazon does with their credits,
Hmm.
or Facebook or Instagram can come in and just like, hey, you're canceled. This is ours now. You own that NFT, only you have access to that. And for funsies, I like to joke about Web 4 and Web 5. Web 4, I would say, is like a Ready Player One type of deal, where it's like
Hmm.
Web 3, AI, metaverse, all kind of mixed one. It's like their goggles are just kind of like dystopian. And Web 5, I would say, is when everyone had enough of that, and there's like, I kind of need to go back outside. Let's get some sun. Okay.
I love Web 5.
Web 5, we need to get to Web 5. We'll
I
go through
love it.
we'll go through Web 4 first, I think, where everyone's just in their room, just like fully VR'd up, but we'll see the light.
I love that explanation that it really does like simplify things. Using that analogy, I love it. Like, three is the ownership, and then once someone buys the NFT, they own it. I guess the people who designed it can just upload their changes and stuff to it, but they can't like take it back. Which is awesome. And then getting into the whole virtual reality and AI and all that stuff. Um, I guess just like leading that rabbit hole with AI. I'm sure you're pretty much for it. With your position, do you think there's any downside to like AI in the future, or?
Yeah, so the thing is, honestly, about AI and technology in general, I view everything as a neutral thing.
Hmm.
So I know everyone's about really doom and gloom about AI. It's like, oh, Terminator type stuff.
Hmm.
From that sense, I think AI, it's a computer. You can always just turn it off. So I don't think it'll go full Terminator on us.
Hmm.
But again, I view it as a neutral technology, and how a technology works is whoever's using it can either use it for a positive benefit or a negative benefit. Of
Hmm.
course, there's negative ways to use AI. For example, you could, because really AI in its sense is just pretty much pattern recognition at getting large amounts of data using pattern recognition at scale. So
Hmm.
hypothetically, I don't know if you just saw the movie Beekeeper, it's pretty good actually. But
Hmm.
what the main villain did, he used AI to scan for people who were about to die and hadn't passed on the air, so he used that to scam people out of their money. Whereas AI, in my sense, is
Hmm.
we're using it as an AI powered matchmaker, where that's what dating is. So you can create a digital profile based on your social media footprint, and then from there, we're going to match users with people with similar digital footprints in
Hmm.
order to put them in the position to succeed. Because again, I think love is a beautiful thing. I think human relationships are very important. And I think the dating market is pretty skewed and just messed up right now. So that's our way of adding a positive spin to AI. Of course, there's gonna be changes
Hmm.
like it's gonna be scalable. It's gonna make people more scalable in the sense like, let's say one of us had a business idea.
Hmm.
I'm not the best graphic designer, nor am I the best copywriter, but
Hmm.
I can go like, hey, give me 25 logos of this vibe. Oh, I like this one. Can you tweak it to make it more purple, make it more friendly, make it more inviting? And then I can get tons of content that way. And the same thing with copywriting. So I can just like, hey, write 25 emails with different variations. What do you think would work best?
Hmm.
So in both those cases, yes, AI can do the groundwork, but it's really just a tool to leverage human creativity. And in
Hmm.
the end, I would review both pieces of content before I put them out. So it's a tool like anything else.
Yeah, and that's how I look at it too, as a tool. And you just get to use the tools because at one point, social media and all that stuff was, used as a tool. Now it's just used as all other things, I guess.
Yeah.
But it just comes with the, human behavior. So what got you into like, really wanting to do entrepreneurship and going down this business journey? Because I'm like, you could have, with your background and your skill set, you could have just stayed corporate and, just sailed like a path of, just coast instead of, going through this. Because, building stuff, requires energy, effort, resources, tools, and all that.
Yes, I would say it was like not to be too typical, but it's like a red pill moment with the Matrix. So
Mm-hmm.
what kind of kicked me off was Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So that at that point in time when I was a corporate restructuring consultant, whatever that means, that's when I was really researching the Bitcoin ethos. I was researching and reading everything I can and my group of friends who are just like sending each other content all day.
Mm-hmm.
And that really promotes non-rent seeking behavior. And at the time, that's what I felt the corporate bankruptcy consultancy was. And it's not the fault of the firm. They're smart, kind people. It's more of a systematic error. So when a company is going through the bankruptcy process, there are tiers of creditors like tier one, tier two, tier three, tier four. They're not
Mm-hmm.
called that. They have fancy legal names for some reason, but that's in generally what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Tier one gets paid out first, then tier two, then tier three, then tier four gets paid out last, often pennies on the dollar. And the normal people like the me, you, the moms and pop of the world, of
Mm-hmm.
course, we always end up in tier four just because, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So in a sense, when the consultancy firm normally, and for a consultancy firm, the company would pay the firm for a product or services from their profits. But in this case, we were getting paid from a lump sum of money, which
Mm-hmm.
should have been going to the creditor. So in the sense, we're taking money from a diminishing pool. So that didn't really align well with the ethos of Bitcoin. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I've been reading this for a while. I've been at that point, like I've been reading for years, just pretty much anything I can get my hands on, a bunch of like CEO biographies and all that jazz. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I think it's time to quit without a plan. Quit that, started going to local cryptocurrency meetups in the local area, and that's where I met the original ShopX team.
Mm-hmm.
And then we founded another SaaS platform, which was again a really amazing experience because we worked out of an incubator.
Mm-hmm.
So what an incubator is just a bunch of different startups working side by side in different desks. It's like startup class. So I got access to, and one of our like the person next to us was Liquid Death Water.
Mm-hmm.
So I got access to a bunch of CEOs and founders in all different fields, and I use that as like a learning experience. Like I'd ask them what worked for them, what do you
Mm-hmm.
recommend, and then it just kind of took off from there.
Okay. So, a person of your skill set and caliber when it comes to, because, when I watch certain movies and, I know it's for entertainment value, but I always think that something is based in some type of truth, right? So let's take Facebook, for example. Someone had a fantastic idea. You know what I'm saying? Someone else poured into it from the, financial aspect of it. And then along the way, when it starts to grow, people are cut out due to greed and just human behavior. Do you ever feel like, when you're in the incubator process with other people, I know it's more of it's a collection of sharing ideas and things, but if one of those ideas like really take off and start growing legs, then is everyone compensated and does everyone feel like, what I'm saying, their best interest would be held?
Oh, absolutely not. So what the yeah, just like no. So what the incubator process is, so it's usually run by a VC, and I mean, some VCs are fine, some are good, but the majority of them are there out to make
Uh-huh.
money. So if one startup starts taking off, because they know most of them will fail, they start
Mm-hmm.
catering their advice. And this is a big problem I have with incubators too, is they start catering around this one specific startup.
Mm-hmm.
And since they have access to other startups, they try to get the other startups to work with that in support of the one startup that's working, even though that may not be
Mm-hmm.
aligned with the main startup. So basically, if one does well, they get all the attention, and then everyone else gets kind of kicked to the side.
Mm. So then what's attractive to the start as far as like participating in the startup then? Like from your standpoint, if
So the
someone,
main
go ahead.
Yeah, so the main thing is I like freedom. I like being able to do what I want when I want. So that was
Mm-hmm.
the most attractive thing about that. In terms of this particular case, it was an important lesson on not to take capital from the wrong, not the wrong person, but the wrong person for us. So
Mm-hmm.
like you have to look at an investor like a relationship, whereas like, okay, a good
Mm-hmm.
investor is like, let's say I'm running a startup, you're my lead investor.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have a friendship, we align. I would bounce ideas off of you. But
Mm-hmm.
in the end, it'd be like, okay, then you'd be like, this is what I would do, this is what I recommend. But in the end, it's on my decision to kind of follow my sword.
Mm-hmm.
What often happens is when a startup takes money from the wrong source, they kind of feel like they're in control and they're like, okay, you have to do X, Y, and Z, you have to hit these KPIs, and then we'll introduce you to the rest of our
Mm-hmm.
investor network. But
Yeah.
then you as a startup, you're just like, no, that's not how we're supposed to do anything. This doesn't work. But at the
Mm-hmm.
end, you're like a startup's just like, I need money. I haven't got paid
Mm-hmm.
for a while. Let's try to hit the KPIs, and that often derails you. So
Yeah.
in this particular case, we ended up taking money from the wrong source, and which eventually led to, I mean, it didn't completely fail, but that's what led to the eventual end of this particular one.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think stuff like that should be like highlighted more, so people could be more prepared and like, making the right decision. Because like you said, people are going to invest. Investors will invest.
Yeah.
But it's about those relationships, like you said, and making sure that, it really aligns. I just wish, more stories would be told in the manner and all these different platforms would like talk about that more. They don't talk about that more, like, Shark Tank and all these other national platforms.
Oh, well, they're run by
Uh,
investors.
exactly.
Yeah. Like look at Shark Tank. It's like
Uh-huh.
yeah, so
Yeah. It's just like all these just horror stories that get brushed up under the rug.
yeah.
So in building the business now, right, that you're participating in, um, what struggles have you been able to overcome and what successes have you had thus far?
So in terms of reframing, so I work with two companies. I don't view it as a struggle. I view it as an opportunity. So every struggle to me is an area where it's like, so I think the universe has, I'm gonna get a bit esoteric, but I think the universe has a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that could happen to you is meant to happen. Everything bad that happened to you is a lesson that you're supposed to learn. So if you look at it from that way,
Okay.
it's just a lot better. In terms of running startups, honestly, most of the things will not just work. So it's a lot of failing upwards. Like you try nine things don't work. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I know nine things that don't work, but I'm closer to finding the thing I would work. I
Mm-hmm.
find the thing that works. Okay, it works for a week, then it stops working. It's like, okay, well, back to square one. So in terms of like fail, so from the ShopX perspective, in terms of
Yeah.
let's start with the wins. The first thing is we're the simplest platform to use for an e-commerce brand wanting to enter the Web3 space. So
Mm-hmm.
if you had a brand on Shopify or WooCommerce, you can download our app,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can launch a smart contract NFT collection, and
Mm-hmm.
then program an e-commerce benefits to that NFT collection for your customers in less than 5 minutes, just
Mm-hmm.
by filling out two simple forms of just like a price, a picture, a description, and all that stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
during QA, my grandma was able to do that. So that's a big win to take something that complex and that cumbersome. Like if you didn't use a platform like ours, you'd probably have to pay like 20 grand, hire a
Mm-hmm.
designer, hire a Web3 dev. It would just be a giant headache for you. So to take a process that complex and simplify it to less than 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
I would say is a big win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we'll do three just because three is a lucky number. I'd say the second biggest win was we were able to work with major clients. Our biggest client is Fox Television Studios.
Okay.
We're working with their new show called Populous, which is the same creator of Rick and Morty.
Mm-hmm.
And something cool about the ShopX software is we are the first ever tokenized software licenses,
Mm-hmm.
meaning brands wanting to use our products and services, they have to use our software licenses, or they have to get a certain amount of software licenses, and those are actually tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to pass legal scrutiny from Fox. So Fox was like they had to pay us money to get the licenses, and given the crypto market, that's a pretty big deal actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the third biggest one is we have an ethic company, meaning we just don't screw anyone over,
Yeah.
which is extremely rare in
I,
normal business, let alone the
I,
crypto space. Yeah,
yeah, I was
like
about to say that's rare.
yeah,
I love the fact that, what I'm saying, that's something that you pride yourselves on though, because I've been running into that a lot here lately with me and just doing things with people, collaborating with artists and creatives and other business owners, small business owners, where, I'm not trying to screw nobody over. I want everyone deserves the opportunity to win and fulfill their dreams. I don't know where this, I guess, capitalist brain set kicks in where people just becomes greedy. Like the true form of capitalism pushes innovation, but I don't think it's being used in its true form and where it's being manipulated.
yeah,
Um, because people get greedy and because if you got all this money and blah blah blah, you can do all these things or whatever and make your life look a certain way and all that stuff, whatever. So
yeah.
it's just amazing to me.
I have a good theory on that, and it really ties back into the why of Bitcoin.
Hmm.
So right now, for me, the why behind ShopX, just so you know, is I would like to live a nice, peaceful life. I felt like I couldn't do that. The money system was corrupt, which
Hmm.
eventually led me to gold and silver and eventually Bitcoin. And
Hmm.
ShopX is a way for me to scale that into the hands of lots of people. So if Nike or Fox use their products, they incentivize their customers to get in the Web3 space. That's a 0 to 1 moment for a lot of people. And the
Hmm.
reason I got so passionate about Bitcoin was I think it helps fix incentives to describe the corrupt system we all agree in. So like I think everyone can win. I think everyone can rich. I think we can all create a bigger pie versus fighting over the pieces of the pie, which what we're doing now. And I
Hmm.
think a big problem with that is the current the more fiat system. So
Hmm.
for example, in the fiat system, how do people get rich? What's the easiest way to get rich without producing any value? You just place yourself near the money printer, aka like a politician. So
Yeah.
okay, then you get rich. What happens from there is you get rich, you get three of your other corrupt friends in. Then now there's three corrupt people. Those three get six. Now there's six corrupt people. Those six corrupt people will, and this it gets amplified at the top too. So those
Hmm.
six corrupt people, like let's say one corrupt politician will generally beat the good politician because he's corrupt. And he'll use corrupt means to beat them. And then we have a systematic issue. And then you just get super rich by saying, okay, print more money. I take that money, I fund my friends, I fund defense contractors, I use my money to just bomb who God knows where, who knows what.
Hmm.
And that's all because the incentive is to place yourself near the source of the money without creating value. Whereas in a Bitcoin system, you can't exactly print money. So how do you get someone? If I wanted to get your Bitcoin, how do I get your Bitcoin? What's a voluntary system? I have to produce a product or service that you value. In exchange, you trade with me your Bitcoin. I can't just
Hmm.
like, all right, I'm just gonna print some more and slowly bleed you and everyone else dry. So
Yeah.
I think it's more of an incentive thing, and hopefully that fixes because, like you said, yeah, people should be more focused on just producing. The name of the game is
Yeah.
honestly serving people. I think people are happiest
Exactly.
when they're serving someone, and I also don't view money as like a bad. A lot of people are like, oh, money is the root of all evil. Like, no, not really. If you produce great value for the world,
Mhm.
you'll probably be rewarded financially, and good for you. That's how it should be.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that it's a tool, and it just brings out what you are and it amplifies it. So like someone like myself, it would just bring out where I'm creating more opportunity for others because now I have the resources to do so and to invest and and still change other people. You know what I'm saying? They would bring out what's already inside of them.
Yeah,
So that's how I look at it. And that's why I tell people that you should
exactly. You're right.
look at money.
Yeah, it's like let's say an alcoholic with $10, they win the million. Like
Exactly.
they win $1 million, and well now they're an alcoholic with $1 million. It's probably get a bit worse for them. Whereas
Oh yeah, yeah.
if
Like
you
there's horror stories out there.
yeah
We see them all the time. So tell us, how was it building a company from the ground up?
yeah. So honestly, it's really fun in my opinion,
Hmm.
and part of the reason it's pretty fun for me specifically is I believe, like I said, I believe serving people is the best thing you can do. And
Hmm.
I think God, the universe, or the creator, whatever you want to call it, I
Hmm.
think they give each individual person very specific gifts
Hmm.
with the goal of them serving other people. And I think the best way for me, you, or anyone to serve other people is to follow their intellectual curiosity because that's what they're best at and that's how they can best serve people. So,
Hmm.
for example, I'm the best Eric. If you want to try to be me, I'm sorry, you can't beat me at being me. I'm number one in the world. It is
Yeah,
what it is. But at the same time,
I love it.
yeah, like I can't beat you at being Andreas. Like if I try to beat you, you'll crush me every time. So same for the listeners. So in an entrepreneurship world, that really shines.
Hmm.
I think I have slight ADHD, whereas like I read books where I have like 5 to 10 open. I'll get bored of one like mid chapter, mid sentence. I'll just hop over to another one.
Yeah.
So working with two companies, I got to jump around a
Hmm.
bunch of different departments, doing a bunch of different work, doing a bunch of different calls. So
Hmm.
I like that. That just works well for my personality mindset. So
Hmm.
and then that's just kind of what's been like. I wake up. I do have some organization where I have a very set schedule at the beginning of the day and the end of
Hmm.
the day, and how I work out in the middle is kind of like a free flowing workflow. But like the beginning is I do the same thing every every morning. I wake up at 4:20 because I find it funny. I
Hmm.
meditate for a bit,
I
and then
love it. 420.
yeah, yeah. No, the logic behind that is because when I first started getting up that early is kind of meh.
Uh-huh.
But if you wake up at 4:20, it's like, oh, that's kind of funny. So you
Yeah.
start the day with like some sort of humor, then meditate, go to the gym, do some
Hmm.
work, and then I like to close the day with Muay Thai just because that keeps me online.
That's what's up. So as you started pursuing, what I'm saying, your journey and stuff, your circle of network, like family, friends, did they understand your transformation and what you was going through, or, were they very supportive?
No, I mean they're supportive, they just didn't get it. Because the mom's like, why don't you get paid? I'm just like, Mom, it's a process. Like, well, how much you get paid? And like my grandma just obviously didn't get it. My mom will get it less, my brother gets it more. So
Uh-huh.
they're obviously supportive. They wish me the best, but a lot of times like I would say they wish you the best, or they wish what they think is best for you, but
Hmm.
only you know what's best for you. Like for example, my mom's like, you should just get a paying job again. You're making a
Hmm.
bunch of money. But I'm like, Mom, I'm not gonna do that because in her mind, she is wishing me the best, but she's like, this is what's best for you. But I'm like, Mom, I have to do this. This is my path.
Hmm.
So they were, so friends and family are supportive, but I wouldn't say they actually got it.
Yeah. So were you like the first one in your family to be able to venture into entrepreneurship and startups and all that, or?
In terms of startups at scale, yes, but I have a couple cousins who had started like a gym and some smaller successful businesses, which I'm wishing them all the best.
Hmm. Um, so have you gotten to the point where you inspire others yet in your network to go and, pursue their dreams and, figure out what's best for them?
I mean, I hope so. That's one of the main reasons I like getting on podcasts because I'm a believer in energy. So I think positive energy is contagious, but I also think negative energy is contagious. And I
Hmm.
think there are two purposes, the inner and outer purpose.
Hmm.
Everyone's inner purpose is the same, and that's to raise your own level of consciousness.
Hmm.
And the outer purpose is how you do that for the world. So I'm thinking if I'm a good positive person, like, and again, if you go back to frequency, energy, vibrations, each different emotion has a different frequency, just like a radio station. You
Hmm.
tune into a specific radio station, you attract the same type of people. So like if you're sad, that's why sad people are always around sad people. Angry,
Hmm.
that's why people are always around angry people. But the same flip side, like positive, loving people are
Hmm.
always around loving people. So if I go on a podcast and I think we're getting along, but we have a nice little conversation. It's
Hmm.
uplifting. People feel good after that. They
Yeah.
raise a bit, then they raise the people around them, and it
Hmm.
creates a nice little positive upward spiral.
Yeah, I definitely love that. So with podcasting and, going on podcasts, how has your journey been with that? Have you gotten a lot of, positive and forward thinking individuals to have conversations with?
Oh, it's been amazing. I've met some of the coolest people on podcasts just because the type of person who
Hmm.
I think runs a podcast is a lot of times they're doing it for the benefit of the other people. Like you
Hmm.
said, like a lot of podcasts they aren't there to make money. But at
Hmm.
the same time, the personality type who creates a podcast is generally curious, which I find are the better people to be around too. If you're trying to help people and be curious,
Hmm.
that's a win. And I view podcasting as like so
Hmm.
I believe in powerful relationships, not forceful. A
Yeah.
forceful relationship is like one person wins, one person loses. It's just not sustainable. Whereas
Yeah.
in a powerful relationship, we both win. Like this podcast is a W for both of us. This is why we're
Hmm.
doing it.
Hmm.
So in terms of podcasting, it's obviously you align well. And
Hmm.
networking, it's probably one of the best things you could do. Not the focus, but it's always like a one-off. Where it's like, oh, you were on my podcast. I have this one brand. Maybe you should talk to them. Or this one
Hmm.
influencer. Maybe you should talk to them. So it's been like cool that way.
Yeah, that's great. I'm loving. I'm hearing that. How do you, excuse me, like the responsibilities of like the chief growth officer? So I'm sure you have other people you have to like either delegate assignments to or make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do, things of that nature.
Yeah, so honestly, dude, I think titles are pretty stupid, but in terms of like LinkedIn and when you're talking like investors and stuff, it does kind of matter. I'm just like, okay, just make up yourself. In terms of delegating,
Uh-huh.
whatever, I view myself as like a certain servant leader. So like, first of all, in the companies I view everyone as equal. I don't think there are hierarchies, even though there technically are. But it's like, okay, we're all equal. We're on the same team. It's like my main position is to
Hmm.
ensure that you succeed
Hmm.
and then that puts them in a position to succeed. So like for example, the growth aspect for dating, it's more of like a marketing thing where we have two people running our marketing department, like doing different types of content. It's like I
Hmm.
can't tell them how to do the content because they can both do it better than me. So
Hmm.
I'm really just there as a support system in case they need anything, which has
Hmm.
resulted in a very low amount of work for me because I'm not
Yeah.
micromanaging them. I'm just like some
Yeah.
days I don't even talk to them. It's like okay,
Hmm.
but all this stuff gets done, everything gets done well because there's
Hmm.
a system of trust.
Yeah. Um, I can only imagine. This is me just thinking of this and just abstract thinking right here. But do you have difficulty or experience like, nuances when you go through the world and, there's systems in place for a lot of things, right? But you seem like to be like, a system breaker and wanting to do stuff in a non-traditional way. But, society is set up with traditional systems. Does that bother you like your day to day or
No, I mean it doesn't bother me just because I view what it is. Like I mean I would if I could change it, I could, but the prime example is like the VC thing, like networking events. My personality is I just obviously don't like those type of events. Or no, it's
hmm
not like I want to frame that, but like
yeah,
that type of just like sucking up event is just like position, blah blah blah. Stanford is like
yeah.
it's pretty bad to me. But at the same time, I understand it. It's par for the course. It has to be done. So there's no point in complaining about it and just
hmm
go to it. And then I developed a strategy about how to find the best people at those. Is just I find the people who want to. I find the best people at those events are the people who at least want to be there. So
hmm
you just find the people just like kind of over it, and those are generally the highest, I guess, level people at those events. Yeah,
hmm
I mean sometimes you have to play within the system to break the system. So
yeah, yeah, you do.
yeah.
Um, so where do you think the future, of Web3 is headed to?
Yeah, so long term for Web3 to be successful. So I
Mm-hmm.
do think it's the future. I mean, look at the name, Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. It just
Mm-hmm.
makes sense that Web 3 is after Web 2.
Yeah.
But for Web 3 to be successful, it has to be done in the complete background. Like my
Mm-hmm.
mom has to be able to take out her phone, tappity tap tap, see her
Mm-hmm.
NFT does her thing, she gets her product discount, the cryptocurrency changes into fiat in the back. So she has her bank account, it switches into a stable coin, the payment goes through, the
Mm-hmm.
merchant gets it, switches back into their bank account. So that all has to be done in the background for Web3 to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's getting there. Right now, I think we're at the very beginning of the hockey ship growth, meaning there are two main reasons Web3 isn't successful right now. The first is incentive. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not like a degen or you're not really into like very specific things like monetary policy or whatever, like you're the
Mm-hmm.
average person, there's no real reason to even care about cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
So there's and that's where ShopX comes into play. Like in our first product launch, over 50% of the users were 100% brand new to crypto, but
Mm-hmm.
they wanted the specific hat that came with NFT. So it's like, yeah, I'll learn the system, which is cool. So the incentive structure is slowly getting fixed or slowly taking shape.
Mm-hmm.
And the second and probably more important reason why Web3 is not adopted is the user interface is just not for the average person. It just doesn't work. Like for example, like a year ago, I'd be sending money, I'd have to bridge it across. You're
Mm-hmm.
sending crypto, so there's no you can't like call Chase Bank to like, hey, can you refund this? There's no one you can talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Something we like, oh, where's my money? It hasn't shown up. Oh, who do I call? Well, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
who to call. There's no customer support. The decentralized protocol. Well, how do I get it back? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you have to go on Reddit and find this obscure issue that some guy had like 3 hours, like 2 years ago because you're using the same update on your MacBook Pro. So that obviously doesn't work for the average citizen, especially the
Mm-hmm.
average customer thinking how like fickle they are. It's like, okay, it doesn't work. Next.
Mm-hmm.
The plus side is so the first thing is Web3 is composable, meaning it's a compound of interest software. When someone solves a problem once, we all kind of build on
Mm-hmm.
that. And right now, the big brands are getting on board. They've been tipping their toes in. They feel it's the future, and they have the resources and incentive to create a smoother system for their customer. Like
Mm-hmm.
when Nike goes all in, or when they go full in, they're not going to send their customers to a poor user experience because they can't. They're Nike. And once Nike gets in, then Reebok gets in, then Adidas gets in, and then all the smaller brands
Mm-hmm.
get in. So we're about to hit that tidal wave of Web3 adoption, but it all starts with the bigger brands and trickles down to smaller brands, and then everything
Mm-hmm.
gets easier. And the more people that get in, the easier it gets because the more resources, time, and energy are going to make the system stronger.
Yeah. What do you forecast that as? Like within the next 5 years or so, it growing to that level or?
I mean, blind guess, I would say like 5 to 10. 10, it's just when it's
Mhm.
completely in the background. 5, when
Yeah.
it's like getting pretty seamless. Like right now, we're going through the growing pains thing, or the
Mm-hmm.
growing pain phase where it's like you have to like a fire, you have to get rid of those scams, you have to get rid of those
Mm-hmm.
bad products, you have to build the software, you have to do a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then dealing with the regulation, just government just kind of getting in the way. That just obviously makes things way slower.
The government gets in the way of a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
they don't. Yeah, they're like a big straw. They're just like sitting like it's like me and you for exchanging value, and this is why I
Uh-huh.
like Web3 is because like let's say I do an NFT, it's a bilateral stream of value between me and you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the current system, there's like the government, there's the agent, they have a straw. There's like, well, I want all of it. How much can I
Mm-hmm.
take? And you're just like, Jesus Christ, dude, leave it
Mm-hmm.
alone. And they're like,
Yeah,
no, I won't.
exactly. Like
I'm, and they get all righteous about it too. It's like, shut up.
they do. They just like, I
Yeah,
mean, it's good for some things, but everything it's not good for.
yeah.
I'm think because like you said, building a relationship with this person and that person. I'm like, people can easily do business. I'm like, before there was government or whatever, there was bartering systems and stuff like that. So, and people got their needs met and all that stuff. So it's to me, it's simple, but people make it more complex than what it is, and it's always fighting over territories and stuff. So, for anybody out there that's interested in learning more and, wanting to, I guess, could individuals invest with y'all, or is there a platform for them to be able to do so?
Yeah, so very specifically, so we have the ShopX has a tokenized software license where a brand or participant wanting to enter our ecosystem has to acquire a certain amount of tokenized software licenses to enter.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, we have the first ever blockchain-based ambassador program.
Mm-hmm.
So just like Twitter pays its creators from their ad revenue, we pay our community for helping the ecosystem grow in our Reserve X revenue. And to enter that system, you have to acquire the tokenized SHOPX software license, which can be
Mhm.
done at any authorized reseller.
Hmm. Okay. So, where do they need to go? Just go to the website?
Not the website. I would check out CoinMarketCap or just search ShopX on Twitter, and then you should be able to find it. And I use Uniswap version 2, but of course not financial or legal advice or in any way.
All right. Well, Eric, I do appreciate your time, and I got some more interviews I got to do. But thank you for enlightening me on this matter, and for the conversation. I've enjoyed it. Definitely, I'll put all the information in there, and everybody out there, y'all can go and check out ShopX and play around with the website and things of that nature. And now everyone has an understanding of what Web3 is because it was explained simply, and I love it. And therefore, in the fact that we're going to get a Web 4, and then we need to go to Web 5.
Web 5 is the goal.
Web 5. But thank you, Eric. I appreciate your time.